I'm bigcal and welcome to my world. So, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has been officially announced as the best selling fighting game of all time. And I think it's currently the second best selling game on the Nintendo Switch as well. Somewhere just under 70 million copies, I believe. I think only Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is beating it at the moment, which is kind of insane as well because Mario Kart 8 also came out on a different platform. And despite the Wii U not selling well, Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U was one of the best selling games on that and sold about 8 million copies. So the fact that it's still selling really well on the Switch is incredible. But yeah, Smash Bros. Ultimate. Just readjust myself. Yeah, so the Smash Bros. Series, it's a fighting game that on the surface seems like a button masher. Lots of casuals can just get into it, you can just have fun with a bunch of friends, and that's great. But then there is also a ton of almost hidden depth to it and how you play it, and that's where the tournaments come in. So it's been around for many years now, and people often claim different ones as the best or their favourite. I own most of them. The only one I don't have yet is the one on the Wii U, ironically, and the 3DS version that came out at the same time. I will eventually pick those up at some point. So I've got the original on the Nintendo 64. Fun game, the first in the series. I never actually played it back in the day. My first introduction to the series was Melee on the GameCube, and that for many people is the best one, or used to be. I was a big fan of that. I was never great at it, but I enjoyed playing it, and that really does say something. Even though I never got very far in the more difficult modes, I rarely beat the Master Hand with anybody, but I just enjoyed jumping in and playing and having fights. The Wii version, Brawl, was a bit of a step down in some ways and an upgrade in other ways. It was okay. And then of course the Wii U version, the 3DS versions came out. I never got to play those ones. And then we got Smash Bros. Ultimate. And this one was hyped to hell, and I was super excited for it. Everybody is here. All the characters from every previous game, no matter what system they're from, what console, who owns them. Everybody's there still. You got Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series, that's basically PlayStation exclusive. You got all these other characters from Capcom and Konami and whoever else, tons of them, and it was fantastic, looked great, and yes, I got the special edition. After release, I originally pre-ordered the special edition, cancelled the pre-order, and thought, nah, I'll not spend that much money on it. And then I got an Argos voucher for £10, due to something else that I bought. That was nice, and I got it for a bit cheaper than what it was anyway, so I ended up only spending like 55 quid about 3 days after release of Smash Bros. For the Ultimate set, and it's great because it comes with a GameCube controller, a Smash Bros. Themed one, and a GameCube controller adapter for the Switch. So I've been playing Smash Bros. Ultimate with the GameCube controller, and I love it like that. I can't go back to a Switch controller for it at all. I can't play it in handheld mode because of that. I have to play it with the GameCube controller, and it's fantastic. And if that wasn't enough, they announced that there were going to be 5 DLC characters, and we currently know 4 of them. We had Joker from the Persona series, we had Hero from the Dragon Quest series, which personally was fantastic. It was fantastic to hear that because I love Dragon Quest. It's great when it gets more recognition over here. Banjo and Kazooie from, of course, Banjo-Kazooie. That was a huge reveal for a lot of people. And just recently released is Terry Bogard from Fighting Fury, is it? The King of Fighters and things like that, Neo Geo fighting games. And personally, he never interested me. I've not really played much of those fighting games, and yeah, but after seeing the sort of video that was done on it, like 45 minutes showing the gameplay, it's like, okay, I kind of want to play him as him now. So yeah, I'm going to pick up the season pass now, because there's 3 out of the 4 characters I want, and odds are the final one is probably going to be something a bit special as well. But we aren't just getting 5 DLC characters now, are we? No, they announced that we're going to be getting more. Yes, we don't know when. I'm guessing the first one will be announced, I'm going to guess E3 next year. Because the final DLC character for this bunch is probably going to come out Well, it's probably going to be announced, I reckon, in December, because for a year of the game being out, and then it'll probably come out in February, kind of like Piranha Plant did. That was like the first DLC character that was free for people, so that was a bit different. So I reckon that's when that'll come out, and then they'll announce more at E3 because they do take time to make. So who are these extra ones going to be? Obviously, tons of people have made videos like this, and I decided to make one because most of the videos I was seeing were kind of boring pics. Not boring per se, I guess, because I would like those characters in. Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Lara Croft, all of these characters that are fairly obvious picks. That's who you would sort of expect. Master Chief. All these big characters that have been around for years and years, a lot of times on other systems, can they bring them in now? And that's fun and all, but I wanted to make a top 5 that was a little bit different. So my top 5, probably going to be completely different to most people's, because I've gone with slightly less obvious choices, and just ones that I would really like to see. So, let's get started with the first reveal. That's right, Gex the Gecko from the Gex series, because he had Gex, which originally I think was a Panasonic 3DO exclusive. It was supposed to be their mascot, and of course the system did terribly, so they moved it onto other platforms. They got on the Saturn, the PlayStation, the PC. First one's a 2D side scroller, not the biggest fan of that one, but the second game, Gex 3D Enter the Gecko, 3D world now, and it's fantastic. It's one of my all-time favourite PlayStation games. I've done a review on it, I'll link it below in case you want to see that. Yeah, it's a really fun game. Gex, of course, loves TV, so all these levels are TV genre inspired, and that's really fun and really interesting because there's a ton of things you can do with that. So yeah, Gex for a stage, if he was in the game, I would have him sort of like, WarioWare stage. He's sort of like in an enclosed space, and then every so often a mini game will pop up that you have to try and do. Only for Gex, I would have you inside a TV, so you're watching yourself on the screen. You can maybe have your CRT filter over the top of it, and every so often, instead of a minigame, the genre changes. Someone changes the channel on the outside and it changes themes, and you'll have different obstacles and things like that depending on what TV show the player on the outside is watching. I think that'd be really cool. There'd be a lot of ways that they could play around with that and do different things. As far as a moveset goes, you'll have obvious punches and kicks. You'll have a tail whip, a running karate kick like he does in the game, a tongue lash. You can use that. That can also be used obviously to help climb up ledges and things when he falls off. Maybe his tail spin, he can do that to sort of float up a little bit, and that'll be one of his recovery moves. And he can also have like an ice tail whip and a fire tail whip like he does in the game, where it spins around and creates a little fire, things like that. Obviously there need to be more, but I'm sure they could come up with something. And then his final smash. For Gex and his final smash, what I would do is have Gex escape the TV. So even if he's not in his own stage, he'll essentially break the fourth wall and pop out of a TV screen. For every other stage it could be a more modern TV. For his it could be a CRT, whatever. He'll pop out and he'll press the power off button on the remote control, turn off the power, and everyone that's still inside the TV, of course, on the level, gets hurt, and that'll be his big final smash. And then he could say a funny quip, of course, because that's what Gex was kind of known for. Could be interesting, maybe not the best final smash, but that's all I could really think of at the time. So yeah, I would like to see Gex the Gecko as one of the DLC characters. But now let's move on to reveal number 2. An old game that a lot of people might not remember or have even played, but it was one of my all-time favourites growing up back on the NES. I've also done a review of this game, coincidentally. So check out the link below if you want to see that. And Kung Fu, there's been many different iterations and even under different names. It's been in arcades, it's been ported to multiple different systems, it's had sort of sequels, and it's bit confusing a lot of times, but I'm just going with the basic NES version, where you play as Thomas. Your girlfriend has been stolen by Mr. X, I think it is. Yeah, lots of creativity there. And basically, you start off on the bottom floor, you walk to the left, you punch and kick your way through enemies, get to a boss, beat him, climb up some stairs, and then you're on the next level and you go to the right. And you do that till you get up to all 5 floors and fight Mr. X. And then you can just keep going for extra bonus points if you want. It can last forever because it's based on an arcade game. And yeah, I just think this would be a cool idea. Thomas was one of the the original black box games with Kung Fu. Is a character that I just like because it's from one of my favourite games. It'd be different and unique. Yeah, obviously he's a Kung Fu guy, so his move sets would just be lots of different karate kicks and punches and chops and throws and things like that. I'm sure they could spice it up a little bit, make some stuff a little flashy. Things like that. His final smash, maybe just a combination of moves, a bunch of fast punches and kicks and things like that. Yeah, maybe not as much you could do with this character, but I'd just love to see him in it. And as for his stage, well, basically have a scrolling stage. It goes from right to left first off, and then kind of like Ice Climbers. You'll have to climb up then to the next level as it rises up, and then you'll go across again until it gets to the top, and then you can start going back down again if you last that long. Then you can have all the stage hazards and things. Could be the enemies based in the game. You've got those there's almost like little pots that appear up and snakes come out or something and whatnot. You've got a few enemies here and there. So I think that'd just be interesting to see. It'd be a cool stage as well to fight on, I think. And I just want to play as that character, really.
Slow, grim and grisly, that's how you're going to die.
Yep, for number 3, Stubbs the Zombie from Stubbs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pulse, an original Xbox game, also came out on the PC. Really, really fun game. I haven't played too much of it yet. I haven't had it that long and been busy with other games. Yeah. So Stubbs the Zombie is a zombie who wakes up in the 50s, but he wakes up in this town that's sort of been done up. It's a town of the future sort of thing. So there's robots and hover cars and that, but it's still very much 50s style. So that's a really cool setting, I think, for a stage. You've got the 50s style, but also with a bit of futuristic, or what the 50s people thought the future would look like, and mix those together. That'd be really nice. As far as attacks go, you got your basic punches and kicks. You got bite because he's a zombie. There's toxic gas which he uses in the game, usually to control other people. This could just injure them or something, poison them for a little while, or whatnot. Or he could indeed control. He could do it like one of his specials. It would release the gas, and anyone in the area, maybe the controls would be reversed to something, to do something where they couldn't properly attack Stubbs. If they tried, they'd have to, reverse the controls and figure it out, something like that. And his final smash, I would have him, just turn everybody into a zombie or something, and that would just drain some health for a while they're all zombies, and maybe they move a bit slower so you can hit them easier, just within a small range, of course. You don't want to need every player on the screen. That'd just be a bit overkill. Yeah, something like that. I think that'd be really cool, and be nice to see Stubbs back in the game. Maybe we could get a HD remaster of it, which ironically we did get for this next game.
Vince the Voodoo Doll, a phenomenon known to just a few.
Voodoo Vince, indeed. Yes, this got a HD remaster, released on the Xbox One and PC. I actually just recently bought the PC version on Steam because it was dirt cheap over Halloween. I own the original on the Xbox, and it's a fun 3D platformer with some interesting ideas. Doesn't quite utilise them as much as possible, but it's still a fun character I would like to see in this game. For starters, he's just like a sarcastic little bastard, basically. He doesn't really like that he's a hero now and he has to save his master and stuff. He's just like, whatever, I suppose I'll do it. So that'd be a fun character to play as. And obviously he's a voodoo doll, so attack wise, as well as a punch, a kick, he has a spinning punch attack, he jump up in the air and he can dive down with a headbutt, that'll be in there as well. And he can also use the spinning attack to float a bit, maybe even to fly up again for the recovery. But the fact he's a voodoo doll means he could injure himself in ways to hurt the other players, like the nearest player to him or something, stab himself and injure the nearest player to him. He could also use a needle to attack with, kind of like a sword attack or something. Maybe he could use some mystic arts, because obviously he's a voodoo doll. It was created from zombie dust, of all things. So that ties in nicely to Stubbs the zombie, I guess. So you can have lots of interesting things like that. And then for his final smash, one of the first things that I thought of for his final smash is based on one of the early parts of the game, where he runs over a sentient a sentient petrol station, like a petrol pump or a gas pump for Americans. He runs over one in a steamroller. So why not? Just come over in a big steamroller and run over anyone that gets in its way. And that's simple that. Or, of course, he could do some crazy thing like one of the early parts of the game, he jumps into like a blendery thing and just gets shredded to pieces. Of course, that doesn't harm him at all. He puts himself back together and everybody else around him gets shredded up. Maybe a bit too violent for Smash Brothers, but I'm sure they could think of something, or just go with the steamroller idea. And lastly, yes, these are two characters from one of my all-time favourite series of games, The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. It was a three-parter. The first two were on the Sony PSP, that's where I played them. And then I had to wait a long time for the English release of part 3, and that came out on Steam. So it took me a long time to get them, but I'm a huge fan of the game, especially the first two. The third is a bit of a disappointment, changes up. I am actually planning to review these games at some point. I've got all the footage recorded and everything, played through everything, got some notes written down, so that will be coming in the future. How long, I don't know. But yeah, Estelle and Joshua Bright are the two main characters that you play as. And Estelle is sort of almost a tomboy thing. She grew up, her father was a legendary soldier, a general, and also there's a thing called the Braces Guild within the game, and they basically they help people out. People go and hire them, kind of like private detectives, but also fighters sort of thing. They go and help them out, solve puzzles, find items for them, save people, kill monsters, that sort of thing. So she's grown up fighting with a staff or a pole. So her attacks would obviously represent those attacks in the game, where she jabs and smashes and slams and spins around, all the different pole attacks. Plus there's also a thing called orbital arts in the game. We use orbitals as like weird technology, and you can create basically magic attacks using them. So they can do those things as well, bring meteors down, shoot fireballs, heal, or whatever. And then Joshua Bright, who's her adopted brother, and lots of things happen there, I'm sure you can guess. He is a trained assassin and has 2 swords, so he'll have lots of sword attacks, and can also use the arts as well for various different things. You can maybe even have it a bit like Hero from the Dragon Quest series. We can have a bit of an RPG menu to it. That'd be really fun. That'd be just sort of nice to do it. And you could also, I guess, because it's sort of almost got some strategy elements to it, in that you can only attack, certain attacks can only do damage in certain areas, and that the bigger the area, the more chance you can hit an enemy or multiple enemies. So you can maybe do that with attacks. So a basic, say, spinning attack with the pole from Estelle might only hit one person. Then she might have a super version where the radius increases and she can hit more enemies that are close to her. Something like that. And as for a final smash, there's a lot you could do with either character really. You can have Cassius Bright, their father. He can come in either with a sword, like he used to back in the days, or you could use a staff of pole as well, which he now uses as the Bracer Guild. So he could do some crazy attacks. He's a legendary warrior and super strong, so that could be something. You could have, I think her name's Sherazade. Obviously it's not said in the game, it's all through text, I think that's how it's pronounced. And she's a Bracer Guild member as well, and a friend of the family, and she could come in and do her special attack from the game, which basically whips people. But maybe it's a bit too naughty for Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers is for good boys and good girls, as we found out. So maybe that one's out. You could also have Renee, the evil little girl who's one of the bad guys. She could show up in her giant robot, the Patamata, I think it's pronounced. Patamata, Patamata, it's only got one T in the middle, so Patamata, just a giant robot mech thing, and do some big powerful attack based on that. So that'll be really cool. And there's a lot of other characters in the game that could also come in and do attacks as well. Or they could just do, Estelle and Joshua could just do their own sort of special attack as well, because they have those in the game. But that might be a bit too boring, because again it's just using swords and poles. Maybe bring in one of the other characters to do one of their specials, using their own signature weapons and attacks and things. And a stage for them. Two sort of came to mind. There's a tournament that you enter, fighting tournaments. There's like a fighting arena. It's almost kind of like a football pitch, sort of grassy area and things. It's kind of laid out sort of like that with players on, but you've got your teammates. But that probably would be a little bit boring. We've got a few of those type stages in Smash Brothers now. So I would go for the Crimson Arc, which is the base of the main enemies in the game, and his massive red flying ship basically. So you could be on top of that on the outside and fighting. Other planes and things could fly around and attack. There's a big dragon in the game that could show up and just breathe fire on everyone unless they get out of the way. Things like that, so that could be interesting. I think a bit more interesting at least than the tournament location. So those are my 5 wanted DLC characters for Super Smash Bros. And I think it's safe to say they are very different from what a lot of people have been talking about. So let me know down in the comments below what you thought of my picks, and let me know what your 5 picks would be, and try and make them a little bit different from the usuals, like I said at the start, your Master Chiefs, your Crash Bandicoots and your Lara Crofts, and your big staple gaming franchise characters. Try and go a little bit out there, make it a little more interesting. Well, I'm bigcal, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.